Hello guys, welcome back to Mark Shrimp Tanks. In today's video we are going to cover something that I do regularly, and this is going to be Mark Shrimp Tanks schedule of what I do through the week to maintain my tanks, right? So today we're going to start off with Top Up Tuesday, right? So it's not as simple as it sounds. We're going to go over one single tank and I'm going to show you exactly how I deal with it. Now guys, I also have to say that this is just personal preference, because a lot of you guys will have covers in your tanks. I don't, because I have like a visual impairment kinda with floaters and stuff in my eyes, so any light that I can stop hitting my eyes directly makes it easier for me to see the shrimp in the room, if you get what I mean, right? It's a white light thing with my blah 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 blah. Right, so today is going to be Top Up Tuesday. This will be a series. I will include other days when I do other things, so look out for that as well. But today we're going to do Top Up Tuesday. And guys, wait until the second half of the video as well, because I'm going to add something to this that is not in my book. If you bought my book, I often say don't add powders and whatever else. We're going to do something a little bit different today, and this is going to be my routine for 2025, right? So stick around. Okay, Shrimplets, this is where the magic happens regarding my water changes, or lack of water changes, more or less topping up. That's all I ever do nowadays, is top up. Unless it's a new tank, I might do the odd one every second month or something like that. But today is Top Up Tuesday, so we're going to cover top ups. And this is my water supply vat that I use for my reverse osmosis system. It is fed over here by a float valve. Let me take this off so you can see it. There's a float valve here. It's actually off just now because the vat is full. It's always better if you use your eyes and visually turn this stuff on and off when you can. Remember, because yeah, these float valves don't always work right. I've had probably, in all the years keeping them, I've had 2 fail, right? So it pays to turn them on and off when you need them, all right? So today, as I said, we're going to do our top-ups. This is our aged reverse osmosis water, and all aged means, guys, is that it's actually sat here in this container for a few days, right? At the minimalist amount, I would probably do 1 day and then be able to do top-ups, right? So that's how quickly this works. So in here we have a pump, little pump. You've seen this in previous videos. This is what I use. This is fantastic. This pump, it's a 12-volt boat pump, right? And it goes to an adapter up here. And we have an air stone as well. It's always good to have an air stone in your tank with some moderate flow, just to keep everything turning over. Right, so let's go over how this works first before we actually go and top up a tank. This is all connected to this actual hose reel here. And there's enough hose on here, guys, to reach every single shrimp tank in my room, right? And it's important that you measure this stuff out before you go and do cutting and all that, because you don't want to actually like not be able to get to a tank and then you'll have problems. Right, so I have mine's fitted to a connection like this. I think this pipe is something like 14 mil. These connectors are actually, I think they're adapted for 16 mil, but if you push this kind of PVC piping on, it does actually work quite well. There's a flow control valve here, which is also important, because when you do, for example, higher tanks, if you put this in like this thing over the rim into the tank, when you start to fill it up, if you press the button on your on and off thing here, what will happen is it will turn off when you don't need it. But if you don't close the valve here, you'll get a reverse siphon basically into your tank. So that is what this is. Right, so this is at the very beginning of the stage where I'm going to prep my water. Right, so bear in mind, guys, that this is a little bit different considering the differences in your tanks, right? So it pays to have a decent pH meter, because if you have pH that's climbing, you can add a little bit of acid to this, right? And I use this one here. I have a few different types of acid, but this is the one I use most of the time, and this is like an oak extract acid. And for me, guys, this is just 2.5 mil of this into this reverse osmosis water, and it is enough to counteract creeping pH in your tanks. And all creeping pH means is eventually over time, right, all active substrates will lose their acidity, and that means that your pH will start to rise ever so slightly. Well, it could take a year and a half, something like that, but it will eventually start to rise. It happens to all active soils, and you kind of can negate this by adding some acid back to the tank. Right, so I'm not doing it today because all of my tanks are perfect right now. They're all between 5.5 and 5.8. Once they get up over 5.8 going into the 60s, this is when I add acid to the tanks. So as I said, I don't need to do it today. But anywho, right, so what I do here is I pull this off the spool, because we're actually going to use it right now. Like this. pull it off the spool, and we're going to actually open the valve here. You see it? We're going to open it because there's no water in this at all. We're going to open it. We're just going to hang it over the edge. Right, and this is a tip I haven't shared before. It's something that I've got into a practice of doing is adding a little bit of safe to our water. Right, is this 100% necessary? Probably not. But in tanks where we do absolutely no water changes, a little bit safe can help negate things like ammonia buildup, nitrate buildup. It gives the filters a little bit more time to deal with stuff in the tanks. But if you watch your feeding like a hawk like I do, this is probably not 100% necessary, but I don't think it hurts. And I actually think it is probably beneficial for tanks, right? Because guys, we can't honestly measure every single parameter all the time. So I think it's better to be preventative rather than wait for something to happen in a tank and then shrimp start to die, right? So in this, guys, you see this little spoon I have here is 0.2 grams if it's flat. I only do half a little spoon like this into here, right? And remember, guys, this is reverse osmosis water. There's no chlorine or nothing in here. So this is what I do. Next, we're going to add our power on here because this is going to start to actually move all this lovely water around. And you'll see how fast this works with the flow on this little boat pump. 12 volt. It's actually a galley pump, but it is very slow. Watch. Oh. It's actually always better for me to hold it that way than the other way. It's not as slow as I said it was going to be. It's a decent pace. Right, so we have this over the edge like this, and you can leave this for a minute or two and it will help to actually mix the salts, the safe salts that we just put in. Or you can do what I also do is you grab this thing here and just give it a stir. And that is it. Give it a stir. Maybe a minute or something is good. The stuff that we put in is probably already dissolved. This is something I used to use a long time ago. It's probably for frying food, and you could take out like fried vegetables and stuff and whatever else, broccoli and whatever else. But its main purpose when I first got this was when I used to go ice fishing. I used to take out the ice from the hole because it has the holes in it. But then once I stopped fishing, I actually thought, well, this would be a good idea to use this for this. Right, so that is ready. Let's go on to the next stage. Okay, shrimplets, we are going to take the next part in 2 steps because remember I said I had something else to show you that I haven't actually shown you before. We are going to do that right now. Right, so but first let's actually add our water. So here is our thingamabob that actually puts our water in. You notice the way I'm carrying it. This is to prevent drips on the floor. If I turn it around that way, some water will come out. But if you hold it upside down and go into your tanks, it won't actually matter. Right, so I have to do this, guys, every week, topping on my tanks, and I just add it like this. Can I turn you up just a wee bit? Just so you can see. So I lie this on top like this. Right, my valve is open, and I just press this button. Like this, and then the tank starts to fill up. Right, and the amount that I fill up is to the base of the black sponge filters in my tanks, right? So I do it the same level in all my tanks, just to the base of the black sponge filters. And yeah, that is good enough for me to top up. Now, tanks that are further up will lose more water through evaporation than the tanks lower down. And yeah, it is just something that you'll have to get used to. So that's already enough. And as we said before, turn it upside down like this, and then you go back to your barrel, or you go back to fill in your other tanks. Right, so today we're just going to do this video. This is my golden tank. It has lots of babies. Let me show you the next part. Alright guys, this is, as I said, my golden tank. It has a lot of baby shrimp, as you can see here. And the key to successful shrimp breeding is actually feeding the tank, not just the shrimp. So you want to feed all the little microorganisms and stuff. Everything that actually lives on the glass on the sides here, all the little bugs, all the copepods and stuff like that. Once you get them growing in your tank, and once you get colonies of them in every tank, you will know that your tank is good for baby shrimp. So this is what I go for. I'm not sure if you can see them on the actual front panel of the glass here with this camera, but yeah, you want to feed the tank because little bugs are a great sign that your tank is going to be really good for baby shrimp. Right, so let's pan you up here because we're going to look at the surface just for a second. And guys, this stuff isn't in my book, but my book will be edited for 2025. We are going to add some powder food here. Now, I do know I said in my book before not to add it, but adding it just once a week to feed your beneficial microorganisms is really good for tank rates. So this is my dead shrimp powder. You can use Bacter AE or some other alternative. And guys, you are talking minute amounts. And remember I said that this is just me doing this once a week, right? So here we are with our little spoon again. 0.2 grams is a flat level spoon. So I like to do half a little spoon like this. Right, and this is enough to feed all the little microorganisms in the tank and baby shrimp as well. And we only do this once a week, so there's no danger of us overdoing it with our foods. Right, like this. And that is it. That is what I do for Top Up Tuesday. All our little babies will get something to eat now. All the tiny little microorganisms will also get something to eat. And guys, anything that is slightly left over. Now you don't want lots and lots of leftover food in the tank. Anything that is slightly left over will promote biofilm and algae.